The Hidden Strings Under the Ivory Tower. Chapter 1. A Thunderclap. The late autumn wind, swirling with phoenix tree leaves, swept over the red brick walls of a university in northwest China, stirring up the commotion on the campus forum. A post titled Shocking. Suspected tailor-made position in doctoral recruitment at a local university. 985 doctor rejected. Overseas water doctor counterattacks garnered over 100,000 clicks and hundreds of pages of comments in just half a day, like a thunderclap shattering the university's years of tranquility. Though the post did not name names, every detail pointed to the truth. The recruitment position required overseas doctoral degree and relevant professional background. The four final hires all graduated from four obscure universities in South Korea and Malaysia, while many candidates in the same period, including doctors from China's top 985 universities, scholars with multiple core journal papers, and even returning applicants with master's degrees from Princeton and Oxford, were all eliminated in the second round. More astonishingly, an anonymous netizen revealed that the so-called overseas studies of these four newly recruited doctors never involved full-time enrollment at foreign universities. They merely obtained their degrees through online courses and lacked even basic foreign language communication skills. Public opinion surged like a tide. The comments section of the university's official website was flooded with accusations. Where is justice? Academic dignity is trampled upon. When will under-the-table deals end? Local media attempted to contact the university's human resources department and school leaders, only to be rejected with under investigation or met with silence. Several education-focused self-media accounts reposted the revelation, delving into the backgrounds of the four overseas universities and discovering that two of them were not even included in China's Ministry of Education's list of recognized overseas institutions. The other two were notorious for extremely low thresholds and degrees obtainable with money. Yan Nan saw the post in the laboratory. At that moment, she was sitting in front of her computer sorting out revisions to her doctoral dissertation when a pop-up in the lower right corner of the screen made her hand holding the mouse freeze. The details. In the post, 985 doctor rejected and discriminated against for majoring in an unpopular field were like a mirror, reflecting her embarrassment and resentment from a few months earlier. She clicked on the comments section, and as she read the indignant messages, her eyes suddenly welled up with tears. She was not the only one wronged. But what could this belated exposure change? She recalled 3 months earlier, when she had walked into the university's human resources department holding thick resumes and research achievements. She was received by Zhou Mingyuan, the director of the department, who was a classmate of her father's old comrade in arms, a distant connection. At first, Zhou Mingyuan was quite polite to her. He flipped through her resume, and upon learning that she was a doctor from a 985 university majoring in an unpopular interdisciplinary field with 2 CSSCI core papers, he frowned. Xiaonan, it's not that I don't want to help you. Zhou Mingyuan lit a cigarette, his tone tinged with helplessness. There's little demand for your major at our university. Moreover, the leaders have clearly stipulated that for doctors in unpopular majors, they must have high-quality representative works that are highly compatible with the university's discipline construction. Your 2 papers are too deviated in direction to meet our requirements. Yan Nan hastily explained that although her major was unpopular, her research direction aligned with the university's emerging interdisciplinary fields. She added that she was willing to adjust her research focus to cooperate with the university's discipline construction and even take on relevant teaching tasks to strive for more research achievements. But Zhou Mingyuan only shook his head and handed her a glass of water. I know you're excellent, and I want to help, but the rules are set by the leaders. I can't do anything about it. Look for recruitment at other universities. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. At that moment, Yan Nan was filled with resentment. She knew her major was indeed unpopular, but in terms of academic ability, she was no worse than anyone else. In terms of sincerity, she was more than determined. She had thought that with this connection as a safety net, even if it wasn't smooth sailing, she would at least get a fair chance to compete. Yet in the end, she was rejected with a single sentence: does not meet the requirements. Now, seeing that the four water doctors revealed in the post had been successfully hired, Yan Nan's emotions were mixed. She vaguely felt that her rejection had never been due to her unpopular major or insufficient representative works, but rather that those positions had never been intended for ordinary people like her from the very beginning. Public opinion continued to ferment, and some netizens even dug up the names of the four newly recruited doctors: Lin Hao, Zhang Lei, Zhao Peng, and Wang Qian, as well as their so-called overseas study experiences. It was revealed that Lin Hao was the son of a local construction company boss. Zhang Lei's uncle was an official at the local education bureau, and Zhao Peng and Wang Qian were a couple with considerable influence in the business community. These revelations intensified suspicions of a tailor-made recruitment and pushed public anger to its peak. Everyone waited for an explanation from the university, from the relevant departments, hoping for justice for all the wrong candidates. But no one knew that this seemingly accidental revelation was tied to a huge network of interests. Whether this thunderclap of public opinion would eventually tear apart the hidden strings under the ivory tower or be silently quelled, no one could predict. Chapter 2: Covert Maneuvers. The story began 2 years earlier. At that time, Lin Hao, Zhang Lei, Zhao Peng, and Wang Qian were all administrative staff at the university, working in different departments. Their positions were low, but they all had a desire to climb up. They knew well that in the university system, academic credentials were hard currency, especially a doctoral degree, which was a stepping stone to promotions and career advancement. However, all four had undergraduate and master's degrees from ordinary universities, and their academic ability was mediocre. Obtaining a doctoral degree through normal channels was extremely difficult, if not impossible. If we go on like this, we'll be ordinary staff forever. There's no hope of promotion, Lin Hao said, drinking alcohol at a gathering of friends, his tone filled with anxiety. He worked in the university's logistics department, dealing with trivial logistical matters every day with no prospect of advancement. That's right, Zhang Lei echoed. He worked in the academic affairs office as an administrator, and every day he watched as doctoral teachers were valued by the university, filling him with envy. But with our backgrounds, getting a doctorate is just a pipe dream. Even applying to domestic 985 and 211 universities is a struggle, let alone being admitted. Zhao Peng and Wang Qian sat aside, silent. The couple both worked in the university library, sorting books and receiving readers every day. A boring job with no room for promotion. Is there no other way? Wang Qian couldn't help but ask. For example, studying for a doctorate abroad? I heard some foreign universities have lower thresholds. Wang Qian's words were like a flash of inspiration, illuminating the other three. Lin Hao's eyes lit up. That's right, abroad. We can study for doctorates in foreign universities with low thresholds and easy graduation, get a doctoral degree, and then the university will definitely value us. Promotion will be just around the corner. But soon, new problems arose. Even if foreign doctoral programs had low thresholds, they required a lot of time and money. Moreover, all four had jobs and could not study abroad full-time. More importantly, their foreign language skills were extremely poor. They couldn't even communicate daily, let alone attend classes or write dissertations. Everyone perked up. The next day, Zhang Lei contacted Li Zhe and arranged to meet at a tea house. Li Zhe, in his 30s, was dressed in a suit and tie, with smooth speech, clearly a shrewd man. Teachers, I understand what you want. Li Zhe got straight to the point. You want a doctoral degree without delaying work or suffering abroad. I can fulfill that demand. Demand. Leisha took out a document and handed it to the four of them, which detailed online doctoral programs at two South Korean universities and two Malaysian universities. These four universities are all recognized by the local education authorities. Although they are not well known in China, as long as you apply through our agency, you can get a formal doctoral degree certificate. Moreover, we can help connect with China's Ministry of Education for academic credential verification, ensuring that your degree is recognized when you return. Leisha paused, then added, most importantly, the entire program is online. You don't need to go abroad, even for a day. The course difficulty is extremely low, and our professional team can help guide you with your dissertation to ensure smooth graduation. The four of them flipped through the document, becoming more and more tempted. But when Leisha mentioned the tuition fee, they hesitated. The 3-year tuition plus agency service fees for each university's online doctoral program was as high as several 100,000 yuan. Although all four had jobs, they couldn't come up with that much money in a short time. Leisha seemed to notice their hesitation and smiled. Teachers, don't worry. I have an idea. We can cooperate. The four of you each invest a portion, and I'll contribute the rest to jointly invest in the online doctoral programs of these four universities. Not only can the four of you study for free and get your doctoral degrees, but in the future, we can also continue to recruit domestic students and earn tuition fees and agency fees. A profitable deal with no risk. This proposal made the four of them's eyes light up. Lin Hao immediately said, that's a great idea. The four of us will each take out 100,000 yuan, and you make up the rest. Investing in this project not only solves our academic credential problem, but also makes money. Why not? Zhang Lei, Zhao Peng, and Wang Qian all nodded in agreement. They each had their own calculations. As long as they could get a doctoral degree and be promoted smoothly, the 100,000 yuan would be earned back soon. Making money from the investment project was an unexpected bonus. In this way, the four of them reached an agreement with Li Zhe and jointly invested in the online doctoral programs of four universities in South Korea and Malaysia. To cover their tracks, they went through Li Zhe's study abroad agency to complete formal study abroad procedures, claiming to be full-time overseas doctors to the outside world. In reality, they never set foot outside China. Every day, they just casually clicked through online courses on their computers, and their dissertations were even written and revised by Lijia's team. During this process, the four of them also reached a tacit understanding. Each used their own connections to promote and recruit students for the project. At the same time, they began to lay the groundwork in advance, preparing to use their connections to enter the university's teaching and research positions after obtaining their doctoral degrees. They knew that to be successfully hired, a doctoral degree alone was not enough. They also needed to get through the university's connections, especially the human resources department and the school leaders. Zhang Lei used his position in the Academic Affairs Office to get to know the vice president in charge of human resources. Lin Hao contacted Zhou Mingyuan, the director of the Human Resources Department, through his father's connections. Zhao Peng and Wang Qian used the network they had built while working in the library to get through the joints of other relevant departments. They gave gifts and treated others to meals everywhere, weaving a huge network of relationships, just waiting for the right opportunity to realize their counterattack. All of this was carried out silently. At that time, Yan Nan was still buried in her academic research in the laboratory of a 985 university, never imagining that her future job search would be completely blocked by the hidden strings carefully woven by these four people. Chapter 3: Secret Meeting. In June 2024, Yan Nan successfully graduated from a 985 university and obtained her doctoral degree certificate. Holding the heavy certificate, Yan Nan was filled with emotion. 5 years of hard study and countless late nights had finally paid off. But after the joy came endless confusion. She majored in an unpopular interdisciplinary field with a narrow employment prospect. Universities were her only option. She submitted resumes to more than a dozen universities, most of which went unanswered. Only a few universities replied, including this local university in northwest China. Although it was not a 985 or 211 university, it had a superior geographical location and good benefits, and it was not far from her home. Yan Nan was full of expectations for this job. Learning that Yan Nan had applied to this university, her father contacted an old comrade in arms, who indirectly got in touch with Zhou Mingyuan, the director of the Human Resources Department. Xiaonan, I've already spoken to Director Zhou. Her father instructed over the phone. Take your resume and go talk to him. Be sincere, and it should be fine. Yan Nan nodded, feeling more confident. She sorted out her resume, research achievements, doctoral dissertation, and two published CSSCI core papers, put on formal clothes, and walked into the university's Human Resources Department. Zhou Mingyuan received her. As Yan Nan later recalled, at first, Zhou Mingyuan was quite polite to her. He flipped through her resume and asked about her research direction and academic achievements. But when he learned that her major was an unpopular interdisciplinary field and that her research direction was not very compatible with the university's existing disciplines, his attitude gradually turned cold. Xiaonan, you're a 985 doctor. Your ability is definitely not a problem. Zhou Mingyuan put down the resume, his tone flat. But as you know, our university is a local university with its own priorities in discipline construction. Your major is not a key development direction of our university, so there's little demand for it. Moreover, the university has recently made it clear that for doctors in unpopular majors, they must have high-quality representative works that are highly compatible with our discipline construction. Your two papers are too deviated in direction to meet our requirements. Yan Nan hastily said, Director Zhou, I know my major is quite unpopular, but my research direction aligns with the university's emerging interdisciplinary fields. I am willing to adjust my research focus to cooperate with the university's discipline construction, and I can even take on relevant teaching tasks to strive for more research achievements. That's all well and good, but the rules are set by the leaders. I can't make decisions on Miao. Zhou Mingyuan waved his hand, a hint of impatience in his tone. I know you came through connections, and I want to help, but I really can't do anything. Look for recruitment at other universities. Don't waste your time. Yan Nan wanted to fight for it further, but looking at Zhou Mingyuan's cold expression, the words on the tip of her tongue were swallowed back. She knew that pestering him would be meaningless. She stood up, politely said, Thank you, Director Zhou, then held her resume and walked out of the Human Resources Department in despair. Walking out of the administrative building, the sun was dazzling, but Yan Nan felt a chill in her heart. She didn't understand. With a 985 doctoral degree and two core papers, why couldn't she even get a fair chance to compete? Was it just because her major was unpopular? What she didn't know was that on the same day she left the Human Resources Department, Lin Hao, Zhang Lei, Zhao Peng, and Wang Qian also came to the department. By then, they had already obtained doctoral degree certificates from four universities in South Korea and Malaysia. Although these were degrees obtained through online courses, they had also gone through academic credential verification through Liège's connections, packaging themselves as excellent returnee doctors to the outside world. When the four of them walked into the Human Resources Department, Zhou Mingyuan's attitude was completely different from when he had dealt with Yan Nan. He stood up enthusiastically to greet them, a big smile on his face, and quickly poured them tea. Teachers Lin, Zhang, Zhao, Wang, you're here. Zhou Mingyuan's tone was full of flattery. I've seen your doctoral degree certificates. You're excellent, fully meeting our university's recruitment requirements. Lin Hao smiled, took out a thick envelope, and quietly stuffed it into Zhou Mingyuan's hand. Director Zhou, thank you for your hard work. We'll need your care in the future. Zhou Mingyuan put the envelope away without a trace, his smile becoming even brighter. No problem at all. You are all outstanding talents. The university will definitely focus on cultivating you. I've already spoken to the leaders about the recruitment. You don't need to take the second round of interviews. You'll be directly hired. The four of them left the Human Resources Department satisfied. Walking out of the administrative building, Lin Hao said proudly, I told you, as long as we get through the connections, everything will be fine. Our doctoral degrees may be obtained through shortcuts, but as long as we can muddle through and be successfully hired, we'll be university teachers from now on, no longer stuck doing trivial administrative work. Ming Yuan's hand. Director Zhou, thank you for your hard work. We'll need your care in the future. Zhou Mingyuan put the envelope away without a trace, his smile becoming even brighter. No problem at all. You are all outstanding talents. The university will definitely focus on cultivating you. I've already spoken to the leaders about the recruitment. You don't need to take the second round of interviews. You'll be directly hired. It turned out that before the four of them came to the Human Resources Department, Zhou Mingyuan had already received instructions from the vice president to give special attention to them. Moreover, the gift money given by the four of them had tempted him. As for the authenticity of their doctoral degrees or the compatibility of their majors, Zhou Mingyuan didn't care at all. He only knew that these four people had connections and power behind them, and currying favor with them would only benefit him, not harm him. The four of them left the Human Resources Department satisfied. Walking out of the administrative building, Lin Hao said proudly, I told you, as long as we get through the connections, everything will be fine. Our doctoral degrees may be obtained through shortcuts, but as long as we can muddle through and be successfully hired, we'll be university teachers from now on, no longer stuck doing trivial administrative work. Zhang Lei nodded. That's right. From now on, we're doctoral teachers. Promotion and career advancement are just around the corner. As for those real doctors, like that 985 graduate Yan Nan, aren't they just trampled under our feet? Who let her have no connections or background? The four of them looked at each other and smiled, their tones full of pride and disdain. They didn't care about their academic ability at all, nor whether they were competent for the university's teaching and research work. They only cared about their own interests and how to realize their ambitions through improper means. At that moment, Yan Nan was still in her rental house, revising her resume repeatedly and submitting new job applications. She didn't know that the opportunity she had worked so hard to pursue had been easily taken away by these four people through under-the-table operations. She didn't even know how many unknown interest transfers and dark secrets were hidden behind their counterattack. Chapter 4. Different Doctorates. The reason why Lin Hao and the other three were able to successfully obtain their overseas doctoral degrees was not only due to Lijia's study abroad agency, but also the carefully designed degree mill scam they jointly crafted. Lijia's study abroad agency, named Southeast Asia Study Abroad, was actually an agency specializing in handling water doctorates and water master's degrees, focusing on low-threshold study programs in countries such as South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand. Most of these programs were online courses with extremely low thresholds. As long as you paid enough tuition, you could enroll. The graduation difficulty was extremely low, dissertations could be ghostwritten, and exams could be cheated on. In essence, it was buying a degree with money. At that time, the reason why Lija took the initiative to propose cooperating with Lin Hao and the other three to invest in the online doctoral programs of four universities in South Korea and Malaysia was not only to earn agency fees and tuition fees, but also to use the four people's connections at the university to expand his business. He knew that as long as Lin Hao and the other three successfully obtained their doctoral degrees and entered the university to work, they could serve as endorsements for his agency, attracting more people to apply for online doctoral programs. To make the scam more convincing, Leisure specially designed a complete study abroad resume for Lin Hao and the other three. They forged the four people's entry and exit records. Although none of them had ever set foot outside China, Leisure used illegal channels to handle fake passport and visa records for them, as well as enrollment certificates and transcripts from foreign universities. For the online courses, Leisure arranged for his employees to click through the courses and complete the assignments on their behalf. The four of them didn't need to spend any time or energy at all. In terms of dissertations, Leisure set up a ghostwriting team, whose members were mostly college students with no academic ability at all. They only patched together materials from the internet to write doctoral dissertations. To avoid being discovered, Leisure specially required the ghostwriting team to adjust the dissertation content according to the four people's professional directions. Although the dissertation quality was extremely low, with chaotic logic and numerous loopholes, it was enough as long as it could muddle through and ensure smooth graduation. What was even more outrageous was that among the four universities in South Korea and Malaysia, two of them had no qualifications to carry out doctoral education at all. The so-called doctoral degree certificates were all forged. The other two, although qualified, their online doctoral programs had not been recognized by China's Ministry of Education. In other words, the doctoral degree certificates obtained by Lin Hao and the other three were not actually recognized in China. But Li Ji used various connections to get through the joints of academic credential verification, handling fake academic credential verification reports for the four of them, allowing them to muddle through. During this process, interest transfers were everywhere. In addition to the funds invested in the project, Lin Hao and the other three also gave Li Zhou an annual service fee to cover the costs of ghostwritten dissertations, course clicking, and fake document handling. Li Zhou then took out a portion of the money to bribe relevant personnel at foreign universities to cooperate in issuing degree certificates. At the same time, Li Zhou also gave Zhou Mingyuan a gift money to make him turn a blind eye during the academic credential review process. To expand the project scale, Leisha also used Lin Hao and the other three's connections to promote his online doctoral program within the university, attracting many administrative staff and teachers to sign up. Like Lin Hao and the other three, these people wanted to improve their academic credentials by buying degrees with money to pave the way for promotion. Li Zhou and Lin Hao and the other three earned huge profits from this, their pockets becoming increasingly full. During this period, some people also became suspicious of this online doctoral program. An old university teacher, seeing that Lin Hao and the other three went to work normally every day, never took leave to study abroad, but claimed to be overseas doctors, felt very confused, and asked the Human Resources Department about the situation. But Zhou Mingyuan had already given instructions in advance, perfunctorily replying that teachers Lin and the others are in a Sino-foreign cooperative education program that allows online study. Although the old teacher was still suspicious, he had no sufficient evidence and had to let it go. Lin Hao and the other three also gradually became more and more reckless. They even publicly showed off their doctoral degrees in the office, mocking those who worked hard to obtain doctoral degrees as foolish. Our doctoral degrees can be obtained with money. No need to stay up late writing dissertations or work hard doing experiments. Much easier than those 985 doctors, Zhang Lei often said in the office. In the end, it's all about having connections and background. Academic ability is nothing but nonsense. What they didn't know was that paper could never wrap up fire. Although their carefully designed degree mill scam seemed seamless, it would be completely exposed if there was a problem in even one link. And the anonymous whistleblower had long been silently collecting relevant evidence about them, waiting for the right opportunity to completely expose the scam to the public. At the same time, after numerous job search failures, Yan Nan finally found a teaching assistant position at a university. Although it was not a formal teaching and research position, it allowed her to engage in work related to her major at least. She worked hard every day and used her spare time to continue her academic research, hoping that one day she could obtain a fair opportunity through her own ability. But she never imagined that a public opinion storm about tailor-made recruitment was about to sweep in, and she would be drawn into the storm once again. Chapter 5: Public Outcry. The trigger for the public opinion storm was a revelation by an anonymous netizen. It was said that this netizen was a retired old teacher from the university who couldn't stand what Lin Hao and the other three had done and felt wronged for the candidates who had been treated unfairly. Therefore, he sorted out all the evidence he had collected, including the four people's fake study abroad records, evidence of ghost-written dissertations, clues of interest transfers, and irregular operations during the university's recruitment process, and posted it online. As soon as the revelation post was published, it quickly attracted the attention. Some netizens dug up Lin Hao and the other three's entry and exit records, finding that during their overseas study period, they had no entry and exit records at all. In other words, their so-called overseas further study was a complete lie. Some people found information about Li Zhe's Southeast Asia Study Abroad agency, discovering that this agency had been complained about many times for being involved in. Some netizens dug up Lin Hao and the other three's entry and exit records, finding that during their overseas study period, they had no entry and exit records at all. In other words, their so-called overseas further study was a complete lie. Some people found information about Li Zhe's Southeast Asia Study Abroad agency, discovering that this agency had been complained about many times for being involved in. Some netizens dug up Lin Hao and the other three's netizens exposed the university's recruitment list, finding that among the candidates in the same period, there were many doctors from domestic 985 and 211 universities, including Yan Nan. They had. Netizens exposed the university's recruitment list, finding that among the candidates in the same period, there were many doctors from domestic 985 and 211 universities, including Yan Nan. They had multiple core papers, and excellent academic ability, but were all eliminated in the second round. However, Lin Hao and the other three, who had no real academic ability or qualified doctoral degrees, were successfully hired without even taking the second round of interviews. Yan Nan's name also entered the public eye along with the exposure of the recruitment list. Some netizens found Yan Nan's personal information, learning that she was a doctor from a 985 university, majoring in an unpopular field with two CSSCI core papers, but was rejected by the university on the grounds of major incompatibility and insufficient representative works. Meanwhile, those water doctors were successfully hired, and netizens all voiced their anger on Yan Nan's behalf. So unfair. A 985 doctor is not as good as a water doctor. Where is academic dignity? Such a university is not worthy of cultivating talents. Soon, Yan Nan received many interview calls from the media, hoping that she could talk about her job search experience and her views on the incident. At first, Yan Nan was unwilling to accept the interviews. She didn't want to be drawn into the public opinion storm. But seeing the support and encouragement from netizens and the messages from other candidates who had been wronged like her, she finally decided to stand up and tell her story. In an interview with a media outlet, Yan Nan calmly talked about her job search experience, how she had walked into the university's human resources department with hope, how she had been rejected by Zhou Mingyuan on the grounds of major incompatibility and insufficient representative works, and how she had felt wronged and helpless when she learned that Lin Hao and the other three had been successfully hired. "I don't ask for special treatment. I just want a fair chance to compete," Yan Nan said, her eyes filled with tears but her tone firm. "I worked hard for 4 years to get a 985 doctoral degree and publish core papers. I just want to find a job I love through my own ability. Why can't I even realize such a simple wish?" Yan Nan's interview video spread widely online, resonating with more people. Many netizens left messages, talking about the unfair treatment they had encountered in their job searches and condemning the acts of tailor-made recruitment and under-the-table operations. Some experts and scholars in the field of education also spoke out, criticizing the university's irregular operations, believing that such acts not only trampled on academic dignity and undermined educational fairness, but also damaged the university's image. The pressure of public opinion became increasingly intense. The local education authority had to respond, stating that it had received relevant reports, was organizing personnel to conduct an investigation, and would soon release the investigation results to give the public an explanation. The university finally issued an official statement, saying that it attached great importance to this public opinion incident, had set up a special investigation team to conduct a comprehensive inspection of the relevant situation during the recruitment process, and the inspection results would be announced to the public in a timely manner. When Lin Hao and the other three learned that the incident had been exposed to public opinion, they panicked completely. They never imagined that their carefully designed scam would be exposed and trigger such a sensation. They hurriedly contacted Li Zhe to ask for countermeasures. But Li Zhe was also in deep trouble at this time. After his agency was exposed by netizens, it had been sealed up by relevant departments, and he himself had gone into hiding, impossible to contact. They then went to Zhou Mingyuan and the vice president, hoping that they could help settle the matter. But Zhou Mingyuan and the vice president were also flustered, fearing that they would be implicated, and avoided them. "You chose to do this on your own. It has nothing to do with me," Zhou Mingyuan said to Lin Hao and the other three, his tone cold. "Now that the incident has been exposed, solve it yourself and drag me down." Lin Hao and the other three fell into despair. They had once thought that as long as they had connections and power, they could do whatever they wanted and easily get everything they desired. But they never imagined that paper could never wrap up fire. The lies they had carefully woven would eventually be exposed, and the fame and fortune they had pursued would eventually turn to nothing. The public waited for the investigation results, waiting for the relevant departments to severely punish the irregular personnel, hoping to restore fairness to education and dignity to academia. But no one expected that this vigorous public opinion storm would eventually lead to an unexpected ending. Chapter 6. Calm down after the storm. The public opinion storm lasted for more than a month. During this period, netizens constantly asked about the progress of the investigation, and the media continued to follow up and report. But the university and the local education authority never gave a clear investigation result, only repeatedly issuing statements saying, "under investigation," and "please be patient," perfunctorily dealing with the matter. At first, some netizens insisted on asking for answers, but as time went on, new hot events continued to emerge, and people's attention was gradually drawn to other things. The public opinion about tailor-made recruitment gradually subsided. The revelation post on the campus forum was gradually covered by new content. The media no longer followed up and reported. Netizens' messages became fewer and fewer. Yan Nan also gradually faded out of the public eye. She continued to work hard in her position, published a new core paper in her spare time, and with her own ability, gained the recognition of the university and successfully became a formal teaching and research staff member. Although she had experienced the setbacks of job hunting and the storm of public opinion, Yan Nan did not give up her academic pursuit. She always believed that as long as she worked hard enough and relied on her own ability, she would surely go further on the academic path. Afriand asked her if she felt wronged about the tailor-made recruitment incident and if she had ever thought about continuing to pursue it. Yan Nan smiled and shook her head. Of course I feel wronged, but what's the use of pursuing it further? I now have my own job and my own pursuits. Instead of dwelling on the unfairness of the past, it's better to work hard on my own things. I believe that justice is in people's hearts. Those who engaged in irregular operations will eventually pay the price for their actions. As for Lin Hao and the other three, after the public opinion subsided, they surprisingly kept their jobs. Although they were no longer as arrogant as before, they still held teaching and research positions at the university, enjoying the treatment of doctoral teachers. Some people guessed that the forces behind them had stepped in to settle the matter. Others guessed that the investigation by the relevant departments had come to nothing because it involved too many interest relationships to be thoroughly investigated. In fact, as netizens guessed, the reason why the matter finally came to nothing was that it involved too many interest relationships. Behind Lin Hao and the other three were the support of local business and political forces, which all stepped in to interfere in the investigation and put pressure on the education authority and the university. Zhou Mingyuan and the vice president also used their own connections to act everywhere, trying to cover up their irregular operations. As for Li Zhe, although his agency was sealed up, he had already transferred his property and fled abroad, impossible to arrest. In the end, the local education authority issued a short investigation notice, stating that after inspection, there were some irregularities in the procedures during the university's doctoral recruitment this time. The university has been ordered to rectify. Relevant personnel have been given criticism and education, requiring them to make a profound review. This notice did not mention the fake doctoral degrees of Lin Hao and the other three, nor the interest transfers or irregular hiring. It only perfunctorily dealt with the matter with procedural irregularities and criticism and education. No one was held accountable, and no one was punished. After this notice was issued, although a few netizens expressed dissatisfaction, accusing the investigation result of evading the key issues and perfunctorily dealing with the public, not many people paid attention to the matter anymore. The storm of public opinion finally subsided, and the hidden strings under the ivory tower were still hidden in the shadows, not completely cut off. When Lin Hao and the other three learned of the investigation result, they breathed a sigh of relief. They knew that they were finally safe. Although they had experienced a false alarm, they had finally kept their jobs and fame and fortune. They still went to work on time every day. Although they no longer publicly showed off their doctoral degrees, they still acted arbitrarily in private, not preparing lessons or doing research seriously, just muddling along. They even celebrated privately, thinking that they had turned misfortune into fortune and could be even more reckless in the future. Zhou Mingyuan and the vice president were also not punished at all, still holding their positions, but acting more low-key. They knew that although the matter had subsided, it was still a hidden danger. Therefore, they became more cautious, no longer easily accepting others' gift money or cutting corners for others, but secretly, they still wove their own network of relationships to seek benefits for themselves. The late autumn wind swept over the red brick walls of the university again, dispersing the last of the commotion. The campus was still peaceful. Students buried themselves in their studies, and teachers worked hard, as if the vigorous public opinion storm had never happened. But only a few people knew that behind this peace, there were many unknown dark secrets and injustices, and many wrong dreams and efforts. Yan Nan occasionally encountered Lin Hao and the other three on campus. They were dressed decently, holding their heads high, as if nothing had happened. Yan Nan never took the initiative to greet them, only lowering her head silently and passing by. She knew that the world was never absolutely fair, but she would not give up her beliefs or her efforts. She believed that as long as she stuck to her original intention and kept her feet on the ground, she would surely walk a wonderful path of her own in academia. Chapter 7. The Echoes Linger. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a year had gone by. The tailor-made recruitment incident had long been forgotten by most people, as if it were just a short farce that left no trace after ending. The university still operated normally. Recruitment, teaching, research, everything was in order, as if the public opinion storm had never affected it. Lin Hao and the other three were getting along well at the university. With their doctoral titles, they were successfully promoted to lecturers. Although they had no impressive research achievements and did not prepare lessons or teach seriously, they still enjoyed the corresponding treatment. Lin Hao even relied on his connections to obtain a university-level research project. Although he knew nothing about how to do research and the project was ultimately perfunctorily completed, he still earned a lot of funds from it. Zhang Lei used his old connections in the Academic Affairs Office to transfer to the university's research office, responsible for the application and management of research projects. He didn't need to teach or do research every day, only handling some trivial administrative affairs, living a very easy life. Zhao Peng and Wang Qian also relied on their doctoral titles to get promoted in the library, becoming department heads and no longer needing to sort books or receive readers. They still did not give up the online doctoral project. Although Lija had fled abroad and his agency had been sealed up, the four of them, relying on their own connections, found a new study abroad agency and continued to invest in online doctoral programs in South Korea and Malaysia, recruiting domestic students and earning tuition fees and agency fees. They became more cautious, no longer promoting publicly, only contacting those in need privately, carefully weaving their network of interests. Zhou Mingyuan still served as the director of the Human Resources Department. After the previous incident, he became more cautious, no longer easily cutting corners for others during recruitment, but secretly, he still accepted some gift money to provide convenience for those with connections and background. He knew that as long as he didn't go too far and didn't trigger another public opinion storm, there would be no problem. As for Yan Nan, with her own efforts, she had achieved considerable results on the academic path. She had published multiple core papers, presided over a provincial-level research project, and with her solid academic ability, gained the recognition of the university and her colleagues, successfully being promoted to associate professor. She was busy with teaching and research every day. Although it was hard, she was very fulfilling. She still stuck to her original intention, taking every class seriously, doing every research project carefully, and striving to cultivate every student. Once, the university held an academic seminar, and Yan Nan, as a representative of young scholars, gave a speech on stage to share her research achievements. Her speech was logically clear and her views were innovative, winning warm applause from the audience. Lin Hao and the other three were also sitting in the audience, watching Yan Nan, who was shining on the stage, filled with jealousy and resentment. They knew that although they had doctoral titles and glamorous positions, in terms of academic ability, they were not even a fraction of Yan Nan's. But they did not regret it. In their view, as long as they could have fame and fortune, academic ability was nothing. With that, Yan Nan turned around and left without looking at Lin Hao again. Lin Hao stood there, his smile freezing on his face, his eyes filled with embarrassment and anger. He knew that Yan Nan was deliberately humiliating him, looking down on him. But he had no way. He knew that he was indeed not as good as Yan Nan, either in academic ability or in personal dignity. Dignity. Life went on, and the peace under the ivory tower was still not broken. But the echoes of the tailor-made recruitment incident had never really disappeared. Some people still remembered the wrong dreams, the dark secrets of irregular operations, and the perfunctory investigation result. They still paid attention silently, hoping that one day justice would come and those who engaged in irregular operations would pay the due price for their actions. Yan Nan also often thought about that incident. She knew that there were still many unfair things in the world, and many people like her who had been wronged and hurt. But she would not give up. She would continue to work hard, change her own fate through her own ability, and hope to use her own strength to influence more people to stick to their original intention and justice. The late autumn sun, filtering through the gaps in the leaves, shone on the path of the campus, warm and bright. Yan Nan walked on the path, her steps firm and her eyes clear. She knew that the road ahead might still have difficulties and injustices, but she would keep walking, carrying her dreams and her persistence, moving forward courageously on the academic path. And those hidden strings under the ivory tower, those unknown dark secrets, those acts that trampled on fairness and justice, would eventually be completely cut off, completely exposed, and completely punished. Because justice is in people's hearts, it may be late, but it will never be absent.